Hey, Freddie hit us with the most proven album rollout method in hip hop. The jump in a rap beef method. But outside of beef with Benny the Butcher, I think he been cooking something up. Every time Freddie drops as an album of the year contender, his 2 projects with Madlib, Pinata, and Bandana are 2 of the best albums of the last decade. His last album, Alfredo with Alchemist, is arguably the best album of 2020. Freddie's becoming more and more of a household name with each dropping for good reason. So I got high expectations to say the least. Let's get to it.
Yeah. They said we can do this shit like yeah.
The keys in the background sound dope already. Oh, this sound like an early 2000s
They done
beat.
let the VLs in the dough. Used to sleep on the air mattress, my bitch strap on the floor. They call me with them niggas. I still wish them well because I love them niggas. Bulletproof the fleet, I'm in these streets, but it's hard to touch a nigga. Next summer on my slam and color and it's different colors, nigga. Big rabbit, I had the Fontaine, my love brother, niggas. But I didn't. Man.
Bro, he threw the kitchen singing this song. Bro, it's a lot going on in that song. He went for broke. The production is like the clash of 2 different eras because the soul sample all the way down to the synth right before the drums came in sounded like something straight out of the Bling era. Then of course the trap drum sounded really modern. Rap wise, that was another day in the office for Freddie. I like his flow, but that's kind of the typical bag he'll get into. Content wise, it was pretty standard for him too. He was give you that gritty, growing up in Gary lifestyle. He threw a curveball in there singing right before Kelly Price's feature. It was an intro for sure. This is Blackest in the room.
Where would you go? What would you do? Who would you screw? Black forces, so his brain ain't leave a stain on my shoe. Let's go
That's
talk, bet
tough,
they
the
put my
Black
face on
Forces
that
line.
mountain too. Blackest in the room like I'm Sam Cooke at the Fountain Blue. Blackest in the room like I'm Sam Cooke at the Copa. Scary
That's
niggas.
tough.
We stick together like dope and soda. Put that shit on nation. My calculation,
together
no
like dope
culture
and
notion.
soda is
If I
fire.
smoke, gotta spit it, cause it sit on my heart. The shit I think when I look up at the stars. I'm with the jail, the warden put me in the hole, cause I wouldn't rap for the guards. I had bars back when Lambo burned my demo on a CDR with the catcher. We ain't leaving no shells, plus I'm surgical with this bitch like Training Day Denzel. Yeah, Blackest in the room, why can't niggas hit Clarence Thomas up? My cousin live in Flint, she been 6 since they fucked the water up. I start the drama up.
Relax. Allen here going crazy. He got to compete on this album. There's a lot of producers on here.
Checked out on that ambulance, too late to hit the doctor up. Cut off all my bitches from last year, I cleaned my roster up. A nigga did a red out, fuck around, get found slump. Silly bitches, they be worried about a nigga body count instead of counting up. Bordeaux with the floating caps on the new black, got it mounted up.
It's
Baby
a
tried to throw
fire
the
flow
ass
right
out,
here.
but I was passed out and she was out of luck. Yeah, you out of luck, bitch. Doing my pillow, I sleep amongst all the murderers. Nervous cause detectives is lurking, they pick the workers up. Jump it off like busy and juicy, I fuck these verses up.
This song right here is really teasing that theme that Alchemist teased, that retro casino feel. Even before that outro skit, the first beat sounded like stop music they play at a store or a casino. But it was a dope sample flick. It was a really texture sample too, and then the beat changed when he added in the drums. I love how groovy both samples were, but I especially love that second beat. I thought Freddie Gibbs showed off a lot rap-wise. I saw a really stark contrast in themes on the first beat and on that second beat. With the first beat, he was rapping really from a street perspective, and then on the second verse, he was rapping more modern day, after I already made it perspective. The flows that he showed off, especially on that second beat, were tough. He got like 3 different pockets that I thought were really sick, including that flow on the bridge on the outro. I like the pseudo chorus with the blacks in the room, like the different ways that he flipped that. This is Pain and Strife with Offset.
Gotta make that money, man. Money, man. Still the same now. Gotta make that money, man. Money, man. Still
Nigga sound like a Bone Thug, first and the 15th type beat.
Gotta make that money, gotta get that on my thing. I push a button, I'm lane switching. Said you wanna look up for some dinner and drains, but I don't trick off on the lane bitches. If you heard about that hoe, then I can't be your pain. Just know that we fucking the same bitches. Most these niggas I know do this shit for the pain. These niggas be rapping, I'm gang spitting.
It's a
These
tough
niggas be
flow.
rapping, I'm gang spitting. Half top fast and on blade. Popping cops stash and get paid. Using rappers like a laundromat, and I be watching all this cash that I made.
Money gotta get paid. Came from the bottom, made it out of trenches, then I made it out the maze. Bought the Lamborghini, could've bought the Billy, cause I had a better taste. Remember I was taking losses before I was a boss, the memories never fade. Gave my mom 100 rest and chains up for location.
Let's start with the good. I thought that was a good verse with Freddie. Good flows. My first thought was I like the imagery, but getting to the bad, some of this imagery and storytelling just doesn't feel that fleshed out. And then it don't help that Offset came through with a 1 and 2 syllable rapping which is basic. And then all his brats came off is super generic. Speaking of generic, that beat has some generic trap drums. The sample was a little interesting. It was better than a typical trap song that you'll hear on the radio. But on Freddie Gibbs stand, I don't think that's enough. This is Zipper Bags.
All I know is get the bag. Nigga post on the block, we can split the bag. Got you serving the neighbors, they stiff a bag. All I know is yo in them zipper bag. I got an east side hoe, trapping out of house with an east side blow. Smokers coming back for at least 5 more. Killer Optin is back to the east side go. Heaven of the belly of the B side go. Freddie, how you come up on the keys that low? Hit my Mexican and come up on at least 5 more. Killer Optin is back to the east side go, to the east side go. Yeah, I'm about to shoot up your body, cause that's what I feel like. If I don't pull up and got me up, I don't feel right.
You know, that's a really smooth song, but this is what Playing It Too Safe sound like, in my opinion. Look, I can't knock Kaytranada's production, but this is kind of playing it safe. I kind of expect more outlandish out of the box. I thought these synths and the vocals all sounded great together, but I think he was chasing a more accessible sound. And Freddie's rapping mimicked it. The song was like 70% chorus, and the chorus was fine, but I think Freddie's way too good of a rapper to limit himself to that. And even when he did get into the verses, they were like 8-bar verses and more melodic verses. It's just so much depth he can get into when either describing his drug dealing lifestyle in his past or describing the luxury lifestyle that he kind of lives now. And everything's just feeling really surface level. Even the flows, while they're good and they sound good rhythmically, they're all really safe. He's not taking any chances and switching it up any. That's the lead single, Too Much, with Moneybagg Yo.
Rocks in a nigga wrist, too much. 40 autos on a bed.
I like how they put those keys.
A nigga sip, too much. How they hit another nigga, bitch, too much. I got with some Michael Tyson, no, but nigga gotta beat it. Till the pussy undisputed, then the head was undefeated. Once I hit another city, then the number get deleted. If the pussy undisputed, then it's pimping undefeated. Once I seen the whole impressive, knew the bitch was overrated. Knew the shit was hella different with the filters and the makeup. Got a 1/4 ounce of rock up in my pot. I'm about to shake a skirt, about to make it work for the baby.
The flows are fine. It's just the content seems really, really safe. I think the first 2 tracks had gems in it, but the last 3, nothing is standing out. Everything seems generic and accessible.
All this money that I got, I can never get too much. All these hoes that I got, I can never get booed up. All these cars on the lot, I be switching the shoes up. All this money that I got, I can never get too much. I get 200 a verse and 200 for a show. I need 400 a O if I'm breaking down the boat. While you doing all that typing, we been trying to up the scope. Niggas gangsta on the gram, Cinderella on the hoe.
Here go the 1 syllable rhyming, man.
Happened in the design, I knew Balenci with Adidas. Mama knew I was a hustler in the stomach as a fetus. I was back and forth the court and now I'm balling alopecia. Molly calling me a cheater cause I fell in love with Keisha.
Ballin' alopecia is kind of a reach, but I'm gonna give him props for trying. I like that flow though.
This simple potion, then I chase it with excited. Can you point out all the haters? I can't see them through the cottage. Let my newest bitch pop it cause the ex nigga watching. When you having plenty of bread, all the pigeons come flocking. Higher than an eagle when I'm touching down in Philly. Nick 9 a coupe, blue wine, no silly. Ain't no laying up, I'm just drilling, then I'm peeling. Gotta roll, skirt out the door with these.
Look, man, I know y'all can see the conflict on my face. If you throw this on the radio, this is easily one of the best radio songs. But that doesn't necessarily make the best album, right? Radio songs have to have that accessibility. It has to be mass consumed. If you're going for album of the year, which he said he's going for, that doesn't really overlap with making radio hits because you're going to exclude a large portion of people who consume radio and mainstream rap because you have to generally add a layer of complexity both with the production and with the lyricism. And right now, everything is sounding good and smooth sonically, but outside of really crisp flows, there's not much complexity. Hasn't been a standout punch from Freddie in quite a while. There hasn't been a ton of complexity when it came to rhyme scheme from Freddie Gibbs. I mean, he's in technically sound 3-syllable rhyme schemes from start to finish, but there's either a linear progression from rhyme scheme to rhyme scheme or flow to flow, or there's no progression at all and he'll just use the same flow and rhyme scheme from start to finish. It's crazy that Moneybagg Yo had the more standout punches than Freddie on this track. Some of these are stuff I kind of heard before, the Philly Eagle flip, but at least he's trying to punch a little bit and he got into a good flow on the second half. The first half of his verse, Moneybagg Yo's verse, yeah, it was exactly what I expected, but he turned it up a little bit. Let's hear what Lobster Omelette got. That's a smooth transition. I like how watery everything sounded right now.
My nightmares coming true, but they ain't leave me spooked. On the West Coast counting blues, but I'm whooping with them rules. In my neighborhood, you was either 5 or 6, you had to choose. And folks in them was still in my starter jacket and my shoes. They laughing at me at my school, so I move like I ain't got shit to lose. When I get them goons, you in the afterlife by afternoon.
See, this is the depth I'm talking about, the depth that's been missing on the last couple of songs. You can visualize the storytelling, having to choose a gang at a young age, right? Being broke. This is what I think the last 4 songs had missing.
Broken hearts and empty pockets, crack water, dirty faucet. When I shot that bitch in the chest, man, I knocked his shoulder out of socket. Fuck a degree, I'm whipping diesel, no direct deposit. Dope in my diaper bag, I'm serving while my daughter watching. Prosecutor might diminish me. So
Like, come on, man. Serving while my daughter watching. See, man, I just had to coach him up a little bit. He got it now. We had to call a timeout. He turned it up. Let's go.
President ain't never love a nigga. Who the fuck a nigga supposed to vote for? Nigga, what? Yeah.
Facts.
All my lords in the pen about to feel this shit. Got a stupid bitch that live in Hollywood with a mouth so good she can seal these bricks.
M.A. singing melodic, pussy seeming hypnotic. I'm addicted to diamonds, such a fiend for them watches. Dollar signs in my carpet, killing ops is the obvious. I count bodies like bottles at parties when I'm in Cabo.
No,
I'm
you
just
don't.
leading they
I will say, whoever executive produced this album is in a bag, because the transitions and how cohesive all these beats sound and how these beats are all centered around this same theme, and they all have this vintage vibe to them, and some of them are clashing with modern sounds when it comes to the drums and the bass. Yeah, it's another really smooth instrumental, and Freddie's rapping, this is the best rapping since the first couple of tracks. I thought every bar in his verse had weight to it, and he showed off a bigger variety of different flows on that verse. Ross ain't add much to the track besides a big name. He had his typical luxury thought, but nothing would stand out about that verse. But I think this song as a whole was a step in the right direction. This is Space Rabbit.
40-30 man used to cut the dope with the lot of it. Where they gon' fake you, hate you, underrate you. That bitch gon' always turn around, yo, that's the crazy thing about them tables. Nothing but drug mules in my stable. You either whip
Drug mules in my stable. That's good wordplay.
Big gave that goofy hoe a ultimatum. Suck me in the vest, so I had to give her the keys to it. Once I drop this shit, bet the members be locking peas to it. Million used to feel like a dream, now I can breeze through it. Hey, package smell like gasoline, we got them things off in the tank. Big BL and I'm the big boss mafioso at that rate. Don't need my son to be no doctor, he can always take my place. Bring his finger and kiss him, now he initiated. Sunday night through Thursday, you hit me, I get you situated. One day,
That's tough, man. He's talking now.
for hell and my soul obliterated. Neighbor kids just hit me, they mama just sold the refrigerator. Cocaine City, cold as a dope fiend titty.
His imagery right here just places you right inside the trap house. Even the punchlines, the references in his punchlines put you even deeper into that environment and that climate when he was saying it was cold as a drug fiend titty. But the line before was super grim, talking about the kids calling because they mama fiend and she sold the refrigerator.
Space rabbit, push space cool straight out of Monaco. Skinny Suge Knight, I put that on my mama hoe. Dripping the ice, how you robbers gon' rob the robber hoe.
Why do you love rabbits so much? Is it because you're always popping out of your child support? What are you doing up there? Selling crack to Michael Jackson's uncles again?
I really rock with that. The imagery was just chilling, to say the least. And he didn't explicitly say it, but you can't help but think that he struggles with some of the morality of some of the stuff he did with how destructive some of those pictures that he painted was. Yeah, amazing storytelling. I thought the beat was dope as well. Those really lush keys in the background, muffled and reverbed a little bit, gave it kind of this ethereal vibe. Yeah, I rock with that one. This is Feel No Pain.
Shit heavy, but I carry it with ease. Juices in the berries with a tail like a Akeem. Breaking down beef till it turn to miss meat. And I'm with a mob, order bolognese. Nice with the paws, bobbed and I weave. Now we at large, whipping cars in the streets. King Conqueror, good author.
Bro, you can throw Anderson .Paak on anything. What's that sauce? It's like, I put that on everything. What is it, Frank's Red Hot Sauce? Yeah, that's Anderson .Paak, man. You throw him on anything, it sound better. When folk artists find out about Anderson .Paak, they might start featuring him.
Shit heavy, but I carry it with ease. Like a high school janitor, I'm carrying them keys. Gave out credit for the door, I'm catching paycheck with my
That's tough.
mama them. These crackers racist, news at the racist, Bubba Wallace them. Fuck a vacation, I just want justice for Brianna them. Can't go outside, I might catch Corona, hoe a holler tip. Dope in my fella, wrist on Niagara, got a lot of
King Conqueror, good author. Promise we good forever.
stocks is high, the streets is lit. Blowing past, getting cash, driving off with some gangster shit. When on top, keep a Glock, toast and pain and gift. Carry strength, see the minks in my chain with drips. We all doing it, don't ruin it. Chef Hab mooning and stay tuned. I'll be back for more licks. Hey yo, back us and Gibbs, we the monster click. Don't talk money unless you pull out a monster brick.
Man, when I talk about them not taking chances and being inside of the box, man, I think this is what taking chances sound like. This is the first time on the album where they had live drums. They paired it with some streams that sound like they have no business on a rap song. but they worked. I love how dynamic the beat was. There was slight modulation as they got into the verses. I thought all three guys sounded great. Anderson .Paak just sonically sounded amazing on his verse, and I thought his chorus was smooth too. Freddie Gibbs was punching. He had that standout bar with the carry keys like a janitor. Then Raekwon had a really dope verse. I thought everything down to his rhyme scheme, to his imagery was fire. I thought his verse was the standout out of three really great verses. That song is tough. This is Rabbit Vision.
Our Father, Black Godfather, that's my religion. You took an oath to this family, how you gon' go against it? These niggas snitching, I pray that my premonition misses. A lot of shit, it broke my heart, but it fixed my vision.
Man, it's a lot of layers to this beat, from the keys that sounds like bells. And then there's an electric guitar layer under everything too.
Reckless niggas, bridges get burnt. We live in terms, some niggas' feelings get hurt. You was a snake right from the start, but I ain't feel it at first. I had your back with rap, you tried to get a deal and ain't work. Fronted you packs on top of packs, and I never went against it. I started popping and Lord and them started acting different. A lot of shit, it broke my heart, but it fixed my vision.
You know, I don't think I've heard a rapper touch on that. Not in this level of depth, and not for the 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but the foot is deeper into the streets perspective. But the way that he's showing how the rap game and the street life merge, and those relationships carry over, and something can go bad in the rap game and that translates to street stuff. But not just regular rapper beat, but like actual street stuff where you got your drug dealer relationships, same as your rap relationships.
Me and Jeezy still ain't spoken years, but I got love for him. Could've talked it out, but I spoke out, I let it get to me. Show me I could be your fucking boss, best thing he did for me. I needed to grow. Too immature shit I needed to know. Back in them days, I used to have to take a G for a show.
See, this is what I expect from Freddie Gibbs, man. The level of depth that he went into. I like that he touched on those two relationships, the unnamed person in the first relationship who he tried to put on. And then it's kind of like the reciprocal of that when he got into him and Jeezy's relationship, where Freddie was putting the guy on in the first verse. Didn't work out. Jeezy was putting Freddie on, and of course that didn't work out. I love how descriptive he got with the emotions and where he messed up and the vulnerability in that, and then how overall it led to success, because even though he messed both of those up, or both of them got messed up, it was overall for the betterment of his career. I thought the beat was dope, and it still sounded very cohesive. Like, I wasn't feeling the first half of this album, but this second half is really shaping up. This is PYS.
Pretty boy smile, nigga breaking yo ho. Pretty boy smile, T white like the blow. Presidential wrist, White House full of dope. Freddie jumping off, I got the dog for the low. Freddie jumping off, I got the knob for the low. Smoking the informant in your bar with the pole. Nigga 10 toes down, never call on the floor. Let them other niggas cap it, we go ball on the low. Pippin' your slut, shooting them guts. Shooting on her face, she gon' lick that shit up. Dipped in gold, back on them bows. Wanna shot a dick, then I'm charging ho. ATF and DA,
the way they chopped up the dipped in gold in the background. Tough.
Dodge that Serpo in slow mo. I'm a drug or choice, they goddamn blow. I'm a pimp, I'm a mag. Looking for the dollars, need trues and bowls. Let me pull these models.
He did it with the brick, I remix. Insane rabbit gang, at 3-6. Get my hoe to set him up, a free brick. Told a nigga never trust, a free bitch. I'ma break off because to keep you bitches off my nuts. It only take a couple bucks to put you niggas in the dust, and I'ma pimp your slut.
Break them hoes, rag clean, smoke your dope.
That's not my favorite song on the album, but I do think it's a solid song. The Texas influence just oozing off. I think DJ Paul did a good job with the production. I like how he sampled himself with the 3-6 Mafia sample. I can't remember what song that is, but it played off those synths and the drums really well. I did like how he chopped up the dripped in gold part of the sample when Freddie Gibbs said it in his verse. And then I don't think DJ Paul's verse was bad either. Freddie did have the better rapping by a large margin though. I thought the flows were good, not great. He didn't have any crazy standout lines, but I do think the imagery for how he was using women as mules, I do think that was really descriptive, and he did a good job of storytelling. I just don't think it was an amazing verse, neither verse, but pretty good song overall. This is Dark Hearted.
I pray the chopper never jam. Dirty 30 in my hand, DEA detective that got me cuffed on that ambulance. Nigga ain't no solving no murders, welcome to murderland. Send a hit and scratch off a hit, bitch I'm the murder man. Stand on it with it ain't the truth. Pussy niggas ran on me when it's time to shoot. Motherfucker friend, got them bitches out my crew. I knew you would fuck with me if I didn't have no loot, cause I'm the one that push a heart. Dead
That's
nigga put his hands on me. I'ma pop another bottle and put one out for your dead on me. Swear my friends turning fed on me. Many pussy nigga might take the stand on me. But how can niggas hard line? Tell me what bitches know about hard time. Empty stomach give you the heart to go do a homicide. Know some bitch.
This is a long chorus.
On my side, still a rich nigga.
What was the verse?
Side, all
right, that sounds interesting. That was the single that came out last week. I haven't heard it until now, but to me it sounds like an interlude. It was a series of choruses, bridges, pre-choruses. I think it was only like 4 bars on each of the verses that was unique rapping. But sonically, I think it does sound good because I like how his borderline double time rapping with those intricate flows sound mixed with that melodic delivery. That melodic element makes each bar sound a little more heartfelt in my opinion. The song more felt like a interlude than a lead single to me. I don't know if it pushes the album forward in any way, but I do like how it sounds. This is Gold Rings with Pusha T.
No gold rings and shit, just my main squeeze. Coming to the crib, breaking down a set of keys. Back in the days, I admit I had some issues. Took 12 on the chase, I jumped out, I crashed the rim. But you my down ass bitch. You, we got lawyers, baby, don't tell them shit. And I be rocking to the cops, come knocking at my college girl.
Well, those kicks right there, I don't think it was a sample, but that was definitely a nod to Top Billin' by Audio 2, which had that really iconic beat break with the kicks in it.
College girl got a stress and she got a jail record. I put the range in the name and I'm fucking up her credit. The judge gave her probation, yet knots in her stomach. After the case, she wiped her Instagram and changed the number. Caught a new body on my old school. I saw you with your homie grave, but tell that nigga you be home soon. Can't whip it hard, that's a hard sale. Bet I won't pay them bitches back, I play my...
That bridge has a lot of really good wordplay. They caught a new body in the old school. The hard sell wordplay.
Soap opera shit. These are the days of our pies. So many RNs I done made, waitresses I done saved. The blow drop off for bitches who ain't learned to braid. Matured all the sorors in every AKA. Michelle's blueprint showed the error in their ways. All the rent I paid, you know I play it fair. Just leave an extra key so I can weigh it there. Bribe money so your boyfriend wouldn't lay up there. Dope game, I'm the ultimate creative player. Some, they going for 33. I just let the numbers run. The king of the kilo, I don't believe none of them.
Tattoos, that's on wall.
Except Gibbs.
Loudest nigga in the room, you ain't a killer, you a cartoon.
That's a tough song. Production-wise, I like the contrast between those drums, especially the kick, and those real heavenly strings. I think Pusha T and Freddie Gibbs showed off a lot of chemistry, and I like how they stuck to the same theme of pulling these otherwise pretty square girls into the drug game. I did slightly prefer Freddie Gibbs' verse just because how descriptive it was and then how linear the storytelling was with his. Freddie Gibbs told a story, whereas Pusha T's verse, his was more so just descriptive and braggadocious, but I think it was a really dope verse regardless. I like that nod to Freddie Gibbs at the end, talking about he don't trust none of them except Gibbs. Let's get in the grandma's stove.
For like 10 years, keeping 20 blicks in a Sprinter van. Shows was hella empty, but fuck it, I got my niggas in. Once I started popping, I started flying and bitches in. Then I had a baby, yo Ian fucked up the wedding plans. We could've fixed shit between us, but I can fight my demons. I never knew shit would lead us to child support subpoenas. Rap deadbeat daddy, that's how they try to pay me. And that's a shame, cause those that know me know I love my babies. Gotta watch how you rockin' with these groupies, this shit get retarded. If it wasn't me, it'd be an athlete or another artist. Willie was my day one nigga, we done been through some shit. Thought that I was never gonna see him after that Europe shit. Nigga, we was broken, we was share my food. I hate Jabri had to get killed for us to get back cool. A nigga stressing, so I numb him with drugs, liquor, and table dancing. Need to slow my roll, cause my daddy battling stomach cancer. Trying to chase my dreams, but I hate the shit that I'm running after. Had some deadly beef with some rappers, but that's another chapter.
Easily the most emotionally expressive song on this album. Is crazy on a album of Mafioso that this track has the most conflict painted throughout it. From the baby mama conflict and conflict with his main girl and how the tours and the women on tours got in between that. Then the conflict with his homie that had a falling out and it took another homie dying for them to get back on good terms. And then talking about beef he had with people in the industry. I don't know if some of those shots were directed at Benny or if he's talking about past beefs. But overall, just a really expressive track. I thought it was a really good track. This is CIA. These horns sound dope.
Mike, I hear the deuce around Deuce and me go slide with me. Need my money back, you can't never YK Osiris me. Did it all extortions to the bribery. Banned from Instagram, still making millions, they can't silence me. Exes set me up, a brother robbed me around 2003. Trying to get some pussy bumping jagged edge, I gotta be, I'm trying to be. Youngest doing murder for clout and they posted on their page. CIA, they gave us crack, Instagram and AIDS. Brooklyn introduced me to the smack, poison in the
CIA gave us Instagram, it's hilarious.
If If this shit was my last album, then I went out the coldest. If this shit was my last album, at least I rap with those. Al took me straight to the Grammys, I wasn't expecting that. Now if they ask you if you from Gary, they got respect for that.
Once again, another really emotionally expressive track. I like how stream of consciousness this last fourth of the album has been. Just touching on real emotions. I don't think the rapping is his best rapping, not even on this album. I think his flows, once again, are good. And the rhyme schemes are pretty good too. You know, a lot of 4-syllable rapping here, but mostly 3-syllable rapping. But I think regular day in the office, Freddie Gibbs flows are still really good flows compared to other rappers. I do rock with the production from Madlib here. This is the most jazzy production on the beat with those really jazzy horns. And it's crazy how cohesive the production is with all these different producers on it. Let's close this thing out with Decoded with Scarface.
But the police ain't gon' hate like this. Knew the shit was in my veins like this. Yeah, nigga, fuck it up. Yeah, chicken wet, triple threat, devil in the flesh.
Y'all, Dahi going crazy.
Bullet with the green to go through the vest. 1990 Testarossa, fuck a test. Love,
Bro, this is a really dynamic beat. I really like these chords right here.
the taxes back, I can trap out the Grand Am. Cooking dope to Gregory and Luther, that was a nigga jam. Bitch ain't nothing better than love, go get it from your man. Coleon Casino, Freddie Tarantino. They do me like Benny Blanco, then I go smoke Carlito. In Vegas, I sold a kilo with a sweet in the Rio.
I like this rhyme scheme right here.
Kidnap your people.
Undercover, low down motherfucker got me. Ducking indictments, paying the price is an understatement. I'm 10 toes in the pavement. I'd rather die than give a statement.
Nah, DJ Dahi was going crazy on that beat. He threw me for a loop. I thought that beat was going in a completely different direction with how that intro was sounding. And then he ended up going with those jazzy, muffled keys instead. Freddie's rapping was tough. Let me start by saying this so I can say what I really feel in good conscience. Scarface is one of the most underrated rappers of all time. He's arguably a top 10, arguably top 5 rapper of all time and has one of the best discographies in hip hop. Now that I said that, that verse is very outdated. If you'd had no idea who Scarface was, you would not like that verse. Only reason you like that verse is because Scarface is an absolute legend. The verse sounds dated. Content was good, but the rapping lyrically was nothing special. Same caliber. Oh, they really gonna hate me for saying this. Same caliber as Moneybagg Yo's verse. Dang, I might need to edit that out. That shot me. Honest thoughts though. Overall, I think this is a really good album. I think it might even sneak into my top 20 of the year. But I don't think it lived up to the potential of Freddie Gibbs given his rappability and the quality of the production on this album. I think he started in a hole with how this album started with some pretty not up to par rapping and content from Freddie. Up until maybe 6 or 7 songs in, I think he was chasing a really mainstream and accessible sound. And I don't think it went over that great. I mean, baseline Freddie is going to have some really good flows and better rapping than most. But then 7 or 8 songs in, you really see Freddie's real talent as he got into some more intricate flows and more vivid storytelling. But I don't think he should have took that long to get to that point. And it's a shame because sonically with this production, despite how many producers on it, this sounded like his most cohesive album with the Casino Resort theme, not just being in the skits in between each song, but I think the vibe of each song matched that as well. And look, I don't review albums based on someone's potential. I just got to be real about expectations of what actually happened. I think objectively speaking, this album would be like a 7, 7.5, borderline 8, which is really good. But I think the rest of Freddie's albums since Pinata, with the exception of Freddie, has been on that 8.5 to 9.25, 9.5 level. So one of the best albums objectively for this year, but not one of the best albums from Freddie, which is a shame given how much time I know these guys put into it, but probably has the potential to grow on me. We'll see.